The HRSA Maternal, Infant, and Early Childhood Home Visiting Program launched in 2010 to improve the lives of America's most vulnerable children and families through voluntary, evidence-based home visiting for at-risk pregnant women and parents with young children.
That's a federal government program called the Maternal, Infant, and Early Childhood Home Visit Program. You familiar with this? Run through HRSA, the Health Resources and Services Administration, another sort of mysterious program that the federal government puts on. This week, a report in the Daily Caller News Foundation finds that this federal home visiting program classifies parents who don't let their young children cross-dress as potentially abusive. Caitlin Richardson is the writer of this piece. She writes, a federally funded home visiting program advises service providers to watch for signs of abuse against gender-diverse children, citing parents who deny that their young child have the right to cross-dress as an example, a document shows. This program is intended to combat abuse and neglect while promoting positive parenting and school readiness among pregnant people, that would be mothers, and families, with young children who are at risk for poor maternal and child health outcomes, according to the website. The guidance offered to government workers who visit the homes at the request of families categorizes steering a child away from gender expression that does not correspond with his or her biological sex as abuse. One document titled Parental Acceptance of Gender Expression in Young Children tells home visitors it's important for them to, quote, recognize and address the abuse and neglect that may result, either directly or indirectly, from rejection of a child's gender expression. Gender-diverse children are frequently the targets of violence or harm, the document says, by other children, caregivers, or family members. They write that abuse need not be overt, and it can look like, quote, denying a child the right to play, dress, and act as they would like. So the feds, using your money, have created a program that encourages children to believe that they are a mistake, that their bodies were wrong for them, and that they should be enabled into saying that they're a completely different gender. What is going on here? Terry Schilling joins us now. Terry is the president of the Great American Principles Project and a Claremont Institute Lincoln Fellow as well. Terry, good to have you with us. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Vince. I love coming on talking.
You know, what is the point of all of this? Why have a program that's dedicated to the destruction of children in the federal government?
Well, it's the same intent that they had in the Cultural War that took place in China, where they turned children against their parents and parents against children. This is all meant to further divide the country. And if you want to install a tyrant in a new regime or keep that regime in place, you have to divide Americans where they are the biggest threat, and that is our families, right? Our families are what we die for. They're what we sacrifice for every day in the workplace. It is what unites our country, and it's what gives us something to fight for, right? Men and women in all the wars that we've ever gone to, they did not die to lower capital gains taxes. They went across the seas to fight tyranny so it wouldn't come here and so that their children could have a better life. But this is at the root of everything we're fighting, and I just hope people can wake up in time.
Yeah, so what is this program nominally supposed to be for? That like sometimes parents of especially low-income parents don't really know how to do it at first, and they don't have anybody else to turn to, so the feds have to come in and help teach them how to be a parent?
That's what they're telling us. But the thing is, Vince, we have millennia worth of history of parents doing their job just naturally, right? You don't need to teach a monkey how to be a parent. You don't need to teach a dog how to be a parent. You just know. And certainly you don't have to be taught how to be a parent and care for your children by the federal government. Can you imagine if the federal government trained our dogs, how bad they would be? They would be biting everyone and crapping all over the floor. We need to keep the federal government away from our kids, but unfortunately, their hands are in everything, right? This is the government that tells us how big our toilets can be. Right. So now they're telling our schools what they can teach. They're telling our parents what they can do and how they can protect our children. It's an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, and you're right. Parents figure it out. How many children do you have now? 7, 8? How many kids do you have?
We got 6 with number 7 on the way.
7's on the way. Okay, so you've done this a bunch of times. You're a little more comfortable now. I remember when my first kid was born. My only kid was born. I remember thinking the nurse asked, any more questions? That was like one of the last things she said to us. And I was like, yeah, I have a lot of questions. Is there an instruction manual? Like, what do I do here? But you do, in the end, you do figure it out, though. And you figure it out, especially if you've got, extended family and mothers and grandmothers, you learn, right? You learn from those people around you. But the idea that the federal government would have to intervene and help coach someone on how to become a parent is really troubling for the reasons you just laid out, including the fact that the federal government is normalizing abuse. Like, that's insane to me, that you would come in and say, yeah, abuse this child or else we're going to consider you to have been abusing this kid.
Well, here's the other thing, Vince, is that ironically, the people that are coming in and showing these parents how to parent, they don't have children usually. It's just like our school system. Most of these young teachers that are teaching our kids and instilling anti-American, anti-human, anti-science ideas into them, they don't have children of their own.
Good
right?
point.
So they bring in non-experts who have read books and gotten certifications from BS universities and colleges that are just degree mills, that are just indoctrination factories, and that's who they put in charge. This is about reforming humanity so that we're all just slaves to this tyranny that is in charge
Yes.
right now.
It reminds me of when, like, childless busybodies join school boards, or when you get, like the fat nutritionist comes in, you're like, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work. Is there anybody else I could talk to? But yeah, you're right. It's like, why are we sending in these childless government stooges? And then one of the things they have to do, obviously, is not only tell people to abuse their children, but if they fail to report them to higher authorities.
Yes, it's not. I wanted to make that point as well. It is not just about protecting kids or whatever they're saying it is. This is about punishing parents for not going along with abuse. Right? You're actually using the law to force parents not to do what their natural instincts require them to do, which is to protect them from this multi-billion-dollar gender industry that's in our media, that's in our hospitals, that's in our schools. Right? They're supposed to protect their kids from this.
This is big money too. In 2023, this is an agency that to most of us is a mystery. It was to me, certainly. The agency awarded nearly $500 million in 2023 to these home visitors in all 50 states and 6 territories, according to their own website. And they were responsible for over 840,000 home visits all across the country. And as a part of their role, they're supposed to encourage little Timmy to wear a dress if he feels like it, rather than to give healthy, productive parenting to little Timmy.
No, that's exactly right. And here's the thing: 843,000 home visits. How many children are in those homes? Right? Do the math. Most of these parents have a ton of kids. They have 4 or 5 kids, and that's why the government's coming in and even knows about them. This is exponential. It's probably 3 to 5 million kids that they visited. It's absolutely insane. That is, there's only 72 million kids in this country, right? So they're basically getting to about 8% of them. It's a total nightmare, and we need a new president to put an end to all of this garbage.
Okay, let me move to a different issue that involves kids and parenting this week that's catching some attention. There's a show on Netflix that I was unaware of. I think my daughter's too old for it now, but it's called Coco Melon. And apparently, according to Netflix, it's the single most popular kids show, at least on that platform, maybe in the country. And there's a clip getting around the internet, and it involves this episode where a little boy is wearing a dress, dancing around, and his 2 gay dads are encouraging him to do this. Here's the audio.
Thing that we know about you, you love to get up and dance. How about you break out those moves for your 2 biggest fans? If you're not sure what to choose, think about all the things you like to do. Just be you.
Just be me?
Yep. When you're trying to decide, think about all the things you like to do. Just be you.
Just be me.
All right, so that is bizarre and really freaky for a number of reasons. But I'd say the biggest thing is like, okay, so the 2 dads are standing there, this gay couple, and saying, dance for us in a dress?
Yeah, no, look, first of all, as a father of small children, I am so glad that I finally have a really good excuse to never play this annoying show in my home again. But this show is actually, this is where the Baby Shark song comes from, right? It is one of the most popular children's shows in the country, and they're using it, right? This is what Hollywood does. I wish conservatives would do this. They turn everything into a political weapon to force a worldview on people. We are the ones that are normal, though, but we don't do this in our own cartoons. We don't even have our own cartoons. We have to start competing here, and if we don't, these guys are going to dominate. Because I can shut this off because I read the news and I know about this stuff, but how many parents don't know about this? That's what's so criminal, is they're sneaking this garbage into these children's programs, and they're not being upfront with the parents.
It was, about not that long ago. I remember being a kid. There was, for instance, there was a magazine that was available for boys called Boys Life. I think it was associated with the Boy Scouts, but the concept was pretty simple. It's like you learn how to make fires and sharpen a knife and whittle and make all sorts of cool things. There was like a catalog at the back of it where you could build a hovercraft out of an old vacuum cleaner, stuff like that. And it was all dedicated to making young men into adult men and to have them experience adventures and actually, be the men they're supposed to be. And here we have a show at the most critical formative time in a child's life telling young men that it's totally cool if they dress up in dresses and women's dresses, dance around the house for their gay dads, and that is the meaning of their life.
Yeah, that's what they want. The only problem with that is that in these types of relationships and families, you can't create new human life without buying it, right? And that's a whole other ethical dilemma. This is promoting the surrogacy life, right, where you actually pay women to have your babies for them. I mean, these people talk about relegating women to only being able to, stay in the home and the kitchen. That's what they're actually doing for everyone. So, it's just a total nightmare.
Yeah, it really is, and it's a sad. It's a sad exploitation, narcissistic exploitation of a child that results in especially on this gender stuff, that results in their sterility and sadness for the rest of their life. And it's like, and meanwhile, we're being sold the opposite. Oh, no. The secret to happiness is to enter them into this life of horrors where they're absorbed into the pharmaceutical industry, pay millions of dollars, and have all sorts of problems that prevent them from having a family of their own.
Yes, that's exactly right. This is a whole mix of a ton of really bad stuff. It's eugenics, it's population control, it's weird sexual ideologies that we're pushing on kids. I mean, the whole host of things that are being pushed in just one cartoon. Yes. You could write a whole book about what the agenda is here.
Let me ask you, just given that you have so much experience having your own children and kind of assessing what they're consuming, I use a website called Common Sense Media to look at a lot of this stuff, like to kind of get under the hood and figure out if there's something weird inside these books or movies or shows. Do you do that? What do you do to sort of assess the things that your kids are consuming?
I just headed off at the path, right? Like, I'm just on offense all the time. I don't trust anything. And I actually spend a lot of time watching these shows and cartoons with my kids, but we don't let them watch cable. We don't let them have their own access to iPads and iPhones and all of that without us closely monitoring it.
Yes.
But, I get to kind of relive my childhood by watching all these cartoons. Some of them are actually pretty good. Like the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was really, really good. So you get some golden eggs every now and then.
How about it? All right. Well, when he's not watching children's programming, he's helping save the American family. Terry Schilling, thank you very much. Good to talk to you today, sir. Have a very Merry Christmas.